comic books, video games, anime, sci-fi. If you've been made fun of for it, we're probably gonna talk about it.
Come on, man. You know I only surf Transformers sites when there's girls around so they can see how cool I am.
Nerd Radio starts now.
Welcome to this week's Nerd Radio, wherever you're getting your podcast as part of the B-Pod Studios Network, and of course, all of your social media at Nerd Radio 101. I'm your host, Chuck Bean, as we spend the next hour or so talking about everything going on in the world of nerds, and I'm joined, as always, joyously, by Mr. Al Beck.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with James.
I gotcha.
I was going to...
Tricked you.
Yeah.
No, because I knew you won't bring the energy, but James I can depend on. Also joined by James.
Come on, Chuck.
Woo! Nerd Radio 101, what's up?
Now, hang on. I am Mr. Excitement on this show.
Are you, though?
Don't you hear it?
I hear everything but excitement.
It's true.
How dare you?
Misery, depression, boredom.
This is Excited Al.
Yeah.
We should know.
You don't
by
think
now.
all that going on inside me is exciting?
Well,
it's a roller coaster in there.
It's a whirlwind of
It is.
mental issues.
I feel like problematic might be a better description.
Touche.
Oh, yes, and we don't even get a shade. Yeah, so we're going to talk about everything going on in the world of nerds, all the news that's come down in the last week. Got a lot of video game stuff to get to, as well as, the biggest story, which would be the new Venom trailer. So I can't wait to talk to you guys about that. Before we get there, though, I'm curious, what do you guys got? What are you bringing to the table today? What have you been doing?
Well, I tried watching wrestling recently.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah? What did you watch?
All right, well, so A&E has been doing their biography series, and they've been doing that Hidden Treasures or whatever the hell they call it, the Lost Treasures of WWE. And they've been doing biographies and following the treasures of people from my childhood.
Yes.
And as we've talked about, when you talk Attitude Era or my childhood, you'll get me. I can fall down a rabbit hole of YouTube when it comes to my childhood in wrestling, but I have not been able to get back into it. But because I've been watching so much with Stone Cold and Macho Man and, Roddy Piper and all that stuff, I was like, I wonder. Like, I just found out that, I happen, through my internet provider, I happen to have Peacock. So I was like, hey, let's go ahead and see what's on the WWE network or whatever. And I, was watching a promo from a recent... I don't know. I started a recent SmackDown or Raw. I can't remember which.
Okay, that was your first mistake.
Well, yeah, but there was like this big, like, supercut what you missed on wrestling, and I was like, God, there's just so much WWE. Like, I know I'm gonna fall out of the Marvel stuff because there's too much. We always talk about there's just too much.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I know there's too much WWE. That's why I fell out of it the last time I was into it. So I was like, you know what?
It's too much buff for Beck.
It is too much. Why don't we try that AEW?
Yeah.
That's on TNT or whatever.
Sure.
And, so once a week?
Yep. Just Wednesday nights.
Yeah, and so I pulled up the most recent one, and I was watching on demand on TNT. And
is it Blood and Guts?
No, I think it was...
Was it last week's?
It was whatever their weekly show is.
Yeah, well, it's AEW Dynamite, but last week they did an event called Blood and Guts, which we'll get to.
Oh, okay. Was that the double ring thing?
It was.
Okay, yeah. I didn't make it that far.
Yeah.
There was the 2 rings in the thing, but I was watching a couple matches.
You picked a hell of a night to get into AEW, Al.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I didn't stay into it. That's the
not at all.
problem. I was watching it, and I was like, oh, my God, it's the same tropes.
Oh, yeah.
All the time. Like, the matches were not interesting to me.
No.
And then I'm like, I thought every talent was horrible on the microphone, to be honest with you. And one of these guys who was dressed all in white and had some sort of belts, Sherpa carrying his belts around. He had like 3 or 4 belts.
Kenny Omega, yeah.
Is that who he is?
Yeah.
Well, he said on the microphone, this is a wrestler. We're used to Hulk Hogan, brother.
Nope.
And ooh, yeah, and all this great, hell yeah. Like, this is what I'm used to on a microphone. And this idiot said the phrase, "Geez Louise," and I shut it off. I was
right up your alley.
You gotta be fucking kidding me. A wrestling promo that says, "Geez Louise."
That's right up your alley, Al. I can't believe you.
My God, these wrestlers are eunuchs now. Like, where are the balls? And I ended up going back. I went back to the Peacock app, and I pulled up an Attitude Era Raw and watched like 20 minutes of it.
That's really
and
where you should have
just watch Stone Cold walk in there and he was right after he had beaten The Rock for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
It was still the Rocky sucks chants, because that always confused me. I was watching back then, and I remember watching wrestling one week and everyone was chanting Rocky sucks. I tuned in the next week and they're cheering for The Rock, and I'm like, what the hell happened? What did I miss? I hate this guy.
Right.
It turns out he's our future king, but
Yeah, well.
But I remember watching Stone Cold come down to the ring, and the glass breaks, his music's playing, and as he's walking now, he has the new belt, and he just chucks it in the ring. I don't even give a crap about this thing. I'm like, yes, this is wrestling. This is what I used to enjoy. Not, geez, Louise, my God. So, unsuccessful. Long story short, my attempt to get back into wrestling is unsuccessful. And now that you have threatened me with talk of Blood and Guts or whatever, I may leave during that.
Oh,
because
no.
that was, geez, Louise, was it terrible?
Well, I'm surprised
Shucks.
you didn't just start with the Peacock Network watching an old Raw, because that's what you should have done in the first place.
Yeah, well, yes.
But I'm proud of you for trying something new.
Yeah.
I'm proud of now.
It's a little outside of my MO.
Right. By the way, James, do you need a hand over here?
No, it's too late now. The moment's gone. I was going to
Okay.
play some wrestling entrance music. I don't
Oh,
remember
okay.
which button on the board. I got to push it.
Because
turn
I
this computer
do
around.
have you up.
Okay.
It should be doing so.
Oh, well, I didn't want to play anything,
All right.
and then it ends up being an ad.
Sorry.
So here's a delayed.
Yes!
There you go.
Here he comes! The rattlesnake!
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah, no, I was all pumped up. And it wasn't even it wasn't even Jerry the King Lawler with JR at the.
Was it still Vince?
It was
Was it still Vince McMahon?
no. He was. This is like
Back to AEW?
no. This is Michael Cole was next to him.
Oh, yeah. All
This
right.
is like right before. Like I said, this is right before The Rock catches on.
Yeah.
It was Raw. It was December of '97.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So this is, I ended up going back after watching all that. They were talking about the Royal Rumble, and I was like, I remember watching that Royal Rumble, and that was the one where Mick Foley entered 3 times.
Yes.
As his 3
Yes,
different
all
characters,
3.
which is hilarious.
Absolutely.
He just keeps coming out. And that's the one where, of course, Stone Cold wins it.
Yep.
Goes on to WrestleMania 14 and beats Shawn Michaels for his first time
That's
as
the
the champion.
Mike Tyson
Yes.
match. Yep.
Yeah, so I didn't get as far as WrestleMania 14.
Well, no, but
I did go and I watched the end of the Royal Rumble that year. So I had a good time reliving those memories. But
there he is. He's cooking.
yeah. Wow, what a bitch Rocky Maivia was before he was The Rock.
When he first comes out with the blue and the
Yeah.
fringe. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The curly hair.
Yeah.
So they do the Stone Cold sessions. It's like his podcast basically on the network. And
Broken Skull
about
sessions.
the Broken Skull sessions about once a month. The last one they did, I think, was Chris Jericho, which was
Yeah, it was fun.
insane because he works at the other company now.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was really interesting that I guess the story behind it is him and Chris still talk because they're still friends. And he sent a text to Vince saying like, "Hey, can I have Jericho on my podcast?" And Vince was like, "Yeah, I don't see why not. Go ahead."
That's cool.
I believe
Smart move on Vince's part.
it's either this weekend or next weekend because this weekend is their WrestleMania Backlash pay-per-view. But the next Stone Cold Sessions is The Godfather.
Really?
Yeah,
Come aboard the Ho Train.
it feels like every one of them is like some major player that's had an amazing career, and now he's going to talk to The Godfather, which was like he's a mid-carder the whole time. But
That's cool.
he's got a bunch of stories. Everybody loved him backstage. So Amy actually got an interaction.
Oh, that's not going to go straight to his entrance.
There we go.
Oh, he got the
Oh, wait a minute.
he got Lawler in there.
Look at him with those hoes.
Yep.
Wow.
His episode of that Lost Treasures was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Godfather? I haven't seen that.
No. Lawler.
Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
That's the
somehow he was in the back of that clip. He was the background of that clip. yeah.
every Sunday night. Me and Amy will sit down with my iPad because we don't have cable on the television and watch on Hulu. Watch the A&E documentary stuff. But it's like 2 hours, and by the time it's over, when it gets to that show where they're looking for the hidden treasures, we're like, no, I'm done. I've watched
Yeah.
enough TV for tonight.
Yeah.
It's time to
I like to do
something
them
else.
in separate sessions as well.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, the biography, I never really cared much for Booker T. He was just okay.
Right.
But I was engaged watching the episode, the biography on him. I was like, oh, man. Like, he didn't give a crap about the Monday Night Wars. He was just worried about, well, what's Booker T doing?
Yep.
I am kind of curious in that. I will say he was, in my head, he's still a WCW guy.
Right.
And I remember him being that, and I just never got into that stuff. So there's a part of me that was like, I don't really care about him. So maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Because he was also, I think that week's The Treasures episode was also him. So I don't know. I might skip this week. I just don't care enough. But
it was actually interesting to watch.
Yeah.
We ended up putting it on. I think I missed like the first 20 minutes, but just hearing his story and coming up through wrestling, it was actually very entertaining. And I love one of the lines when they talk about WWE buying WCW, and they're like, Booker T, what are we gonna do? This is the last WCW. He's like, man, I'm going to WWE.
yeah.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to WWE. That's what I'm doing.
There's no question.
Yeah.
I'm obviously going to go work there now.
Yeah. Everybody else is all,
Me and Amy were both very happy that they talked about the fight in the Green Frog grocery store with Steve Austin.
Yep.
That is my favorite Booker T thing of all time. And it's great that they...
I loved hearing how much damage they did, how much stuff they destroyed. Like $10 to $20,000 worth of merchandise was destroyed just for that one little, maybe a 5 to 10 minute bit.
Tore up that grocery store so much. It was great stuff. No, but that's something that occurred to me while you were talking too, Al, is that Amy loves watching those biography things, but then she has bought the seasons of Dark Side of the Ring on YouTube and just watches them on a loop while she's working over and over and over again. And I'm wondering if that's something you would also attach to.
I've heard of Dark Side of the Ring, but I know nothing about it. So run me through it real quick.
It's a couple of wrestling fans that put together this show. They talked to a whole bunch of different wrestlers, people that were there, people that were, adjacent to these events, and they're going through a bunch of the most notorious events in professional wrestling. They've covered
Bret Michaels screw job or whatever.
The Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels screw job.
Montreal screw job.
Thank you, yeah.
Last season, the first 2 episodes were about Chris Benoit. They've talked about a whole bunch of stuff, and they're back for a 3rd season. The first 2 episodes this season are about Brian Pillman. I mean, it's some dark content. It's called Dark Side of the Ring, but they talk to Jim Cornette. They talk to Bruce Pritchard. They talked to all the wrestlers that were involved. I think they talked about Owen Hart, and his accident, and what happened there. I'd be interested to see if, like I said, if that was also something that you'd be like, oh, this is fascinating, because
it could be something that I pick and choose.
Amy
names
also
again.
does not really care about the weekly shows. She barely cares about the pay-per-view unless it's like a WrestleMania or a Royal Rumble. And she also can't stand AEW.
Oh, really?
No, she's not into it whatsoever.
I don't know. None of the stories. I don't know, man. Like, there was one guy who was like, he looked like he worked in a call center. He had khakis and a polo on and a headset.
Yep.
And he choked a guy with a headset. And I'm like,
oh, yeah, that I know who you're talking about now.
Right.
Like, what is this? What kind of a character is? I mean, granted, you always have those lower tier characters that are just, what is this?
Oh, yeah.
What is this?
That guy, his name's Michael Nakazawa. When they started AEW, his gimmick was that he would come out with baby oil and just cover himself in it so people couldn't get a hold of him.
That's funny.
He's like greased up deaf guy,
Yeah.
Family Guy.
Yeah,
Great.
exactly. People would try and put him in a headlock and he'd slip right out.
That's funny.
That's kind of funny. I do.
It was a funny gimmick. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really kind of fun.
Yeah.
But
Well, speaking of baby oil, I enjoyed the Macho Man Randy Savage biography,
It was
talking
great
about
stuff.
how much Andre the Giant hated baby oil.
No
And,
baby oil.
Yeah, but they would get him to put more on first.
yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
No, those are fantastic. And that, speaking of that Randy Savage thing, after we got done watching it, like later on in the week, we sat down for dinner and I pulled up the WrestleMania match for Amy so she could see it. She'd never seen the WrestleMania 3 Ricky Steamboat.
Oh yeah.
Randy
yeah.
Savage match.
What, they memorized every move? I'm like, whoa.
Like 162 moves or something like that.
That match still holds up, even though it's old.
I've actually never watched it either.
It's super old school wrestling. You're not getting all the crazy high spots you get from like an NXT or an AEW now, but that match still like.
Because that was
is
at the
great.
Silverdome, wasn't it?
It was.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. But while we're talking about AEW, did you check out Blood and Guts?
Oh,
I
my
did, yeah.
God!
I did. And they lived up to the blood part.
They certainly did.
Don't know about the guts.
So we talked about a month ago about the exploding
Gee
barbed wire-
whiz.
the exploding barbed wire death match that they did in
Oh,
the pay-per-view,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that was kind of a fart in church. Well, they did it again with Blood and Guts, unfortunately.
Yeah, is this like their thing? Like, are they trying to set stuff up? Like, Like, are they trying to like look super cheese with stuff?
I don't. After it happening twice, you start to question it.
Yeah,
you
like,
start
is
to
that
wonder,
part of
like,
the
are you doing
thing?
this on purpose?
Like, it's that way people talk about how bad like the big like finale was supposed to be.
Right.
'Cause-
So Al, you saw the 2 rings, and there was a cage around the rings. It was over in WCW. It was called War Games.
Okay.
Something that
I do think they had dropped the cage before I shut it off because that interview
Yep.
that turned me off was outside of the cage.
Yep. But in WCW, it was called War Games. It was actually conceptualized by the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And Cody Rhodes, obviously one of the EVPs of AEW, is the son of Dusty Rhodes. So
Yeah.
he wants to kind of take back his dad's gimmick
Mm-hmm.
for this thing. So they're like, all right, we're gonna do a big double ring cage match, and we're gonna have the Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho's Inner Circle. Match was, like you said, it was bloody as hell.
Yeah,
it was,
I can't believe
violent.
how much blood there was. Like, I was falling asleep and then waking up. I'm like, oh my god, why?
They're still bleeding
Why is
everywhere.
FTR? Why is that dude from FTR like his face is totally red?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that other guy, the Hispanic man, he's all bloody. Oh my god, MJF's all bloody, and he's got Jericho on. Oh, they're on top of the ring. Oh, I'm awake.
Now you're waking up.
Woo!
That was absolutely where it kind of hit a new gear, because I was impressed that I saw something I've never seen before in wrestling, and that was when they got up on top of the cage. Chris Jericho put MJF, the guy he's feuding with, in the walls of Jericho, the big old Boston Crab, and MJF reached around and punched him right in the taint.
I missed that move.
You get it?
The tank punch.
That's how he got him to break the hold. Is he reached, because there's no disqualification, so he just reached around and went, ugh. And Chris Jericho grabbed his crotch and fell over.
Tank chop. Pow.
But the match ended with, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it yet.
Oh, spoil away. It's okay.
Yeah, the match ended with MJF threatening to throw Chris Jericho off the cage onto the staging area that they've got. And the staging area had some kind of thing on top of it, which is obviously an air mattress or something. And Chris Jericho's team surrendered, so MJF wouldn't throw Chris Jericho off and murder him
Oh, come
on the cage.
on!
And then
He
MJF
threatened to throw him off the thing. You know what would have happened in the Attitude Era? They would have shot him in the face. Like, there would have been a murder up there.
And then MJF threw him off the cage anyways.
AEW is bullcrap.
And Chris Jericho landed in a giant
Attitude.
Yeah, it looked like he landed on a bunch of cardboard boxes
Giant
with fake
pillow with-
metal flooring on top.
Right.
You know, also I remembered from watching that old Royal Rumble was how often the Spanish commentating table would get wrecked.
Oh, they're the first to go.
Yeah.
Always the first to go.
Time. I was wondering are their microphones even plugged in? Are they just stuck there? Because I don't think probably don't even have that anymore. Do they have another separate table?
They used to up till
It's
COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have that.
Dude,
They
they
would
had
have
Russia, like
They would have tables up like where hard camera is underneath camera with like the Arabian announce team and the
Yep.
Chinese announce team and the Russian announce team
Oh,
for
my
a while
God.
there.
You know, what'd be really great is if they had a separate broadcast booth, like several tiers up.
Yeah.
And you got one of those backstage matches that they somehow fight.
They somehow find the table.
into the broadcast booth and still crush the Spanish speaking table.
ay caramba!
JR and Michael Cole's table is still fine, but the table that we put way up in the cheap seats, you guys found a way to break.
Oh God.
No, so MJF tosses Chris Jericho off this thing and
Threatens.
threatens to do it and then does
Then
it.
does
Oh,
it.
he does.
And then does it anyways.
All right.
Which
and-
to me was not necessary. Like
Well,
it wasn't necessary.
You don't say that you might do something and then not do it.
I just feel like, okay, they submitted. You got your cool little moment on top of the cage. You got
Right.
Jericho down on his knees. Like, okay, it looks like you're the king. End scene.
Yeah.
End it right there. And to me, it would have been a better ending than.
Poof.
I was like, was that real? They really did that. Oh, man.
Well, that's the thing is that most of the wrestling fans understand is that when Mick Foley falls off Hell in a Cell, every time Shane McMahon falls off something big, it's always a wide shot from across the arena and they just drop and you don't see where they land and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And
They've killed him.
And then they show you a close up.
Yeah.
That's not what they did last week. They literally had the camera underneath Jericho go, boom, and show you the landing, because it's always like it's an air mattress crash pad with some plywood over it. So the guy breaks through the plywood, which is going to hurt, but then there's a crash pad to stop him from hitting concrete and killing himself. And you want to cover that shit up, man. And they didn't. So.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Kind of a bummer.
Once again, one of my favorite calls ever is JR. My
Oh,
God,
God!
they've killed him.
Killed him.
When Foley got thrown off the top of the helmet. So.
I thought he was dead too. I was like, I can't believe I just watched a man die.
Yeah.
And it's almost like he was breaking character in that moment because he wasn't expecting it to happen. It was not planned for anyone aside from The Undertaker and Mick Foley. So it's almost like it was like the story writers. My God, they've killed him. Like, what did they do?
My boss has agreed to let The Undertaker murder a man on pay-per-view. And I'm just sitting here watching it happen.
My God, they've killed him!
Yeah, so I don't know what AEW is going to do, but I mean, this is they're 0 for 2 as far as these big events. They need to stop doing these big spectacles if they can't pull off the
if you can't
thing.
If you can't execute, come up with another plan. Do something else, or like I said, I feel like throwing Jericho off wasn't even necessary. Like everybody's hoping someone's gonna fall. You're hoping there's a stunt plan where someone's jumping off the top. Once they get to the top, you're hoping there's something planned. But they could have ended it, I feel, in a much stronger way by just ending it before.
I feel like it cements MJF as like the dirtiest son of a bitch.
But is he
in the company?
I don't buy it.
No,
he's just annoying. Like I don't think he's the dirtiest son of a bitch in any company. He's just annoying.
He's like the Miz.
I saw Samoa Joe push him out of the way in the old back in the day.
That's true.
You know, like get out of here, MJF. You're just the Samoa Joe bitch.
He didn't punch Samoa Joe in the taint.
No, he didn't.
That's for
sure.
All right, well, let's take a short break as far as Nerd Radio is concerned. When we come back, we'll talk about the new Venom 2 trailer. Got some more movie news for you and a whole bunch of video game news. It's all coming up next on Nerd Radio.